What's good, Bully World? This is Zeb. I'm your host of Bully Talk with Zeb Pitts. And tonight I bring you a special edition of Bully Talk with Zeb Pitts. I have an exclusive interview for the bully community tonight. Tonight, my special guest is Michael Griffin. Michael Griffin is an all-pro NFL player for the Tennessee Titans. Tonight we're going to learn more about him, life in the NFL, and how he got involved with the bully community. How you doing tonight, Michael?
Doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, man. First of all, I want to apologize about the technical difficulties on last night, and thank you for coming on tonight.
Oh man, no problem at all. No problem at all.
Man, let's get right into it, man. Where you originally from?
I'm originally from Austin, Texas. That's where I'm at right now. So I'm back home right now, just preparing for this upcoming season.
For those who are not familiar with Austin, Texas, talk about life growing up in Austin, Texas.
Really, I mean, it's cool, laid back city. You know, it's the home where anybody know University of Texas Longhorns. That's where it is. We don't really have any pro teams, so of course University of Texas is the pro team of this city. But real laid back. The capital of we call it the capital of live music. So you know we have a lot of live music that goes on, especially if anybody's starting to hear more of whether it's Austin city limits or South by Southwest. This is where it's held at. Man, this is real laid back. I would say like a college city, but I mean it's not a small city. It's pretty big and it's growing each and every year. It's getting bigger and bigger. So if I'm not mistaken, it may be the second or third largest growing city right now.
Oh wow! Question, because your parents were both in the military. Your father 20 plus years in the Air Force, and your mother 20 plus years in the U.S. Navy. Did you ever have to move around because of them being active military?
My parents they moved. You know, we was my mom was pregnant while she was in Hawaii, but she ended up moving here to Texas and had us, which now it was an Air Force base, but now it's the Austin airport. But we never moved around outside. I mean, we moved from Texas to Virginia, where my dad is from, where he was they were both stationed at in Virginia Beach. But we ended up moving back, and by the time me and my brother got to middle school, we basically stayed in Austin, but my mom and my dad worked in San Antonio. So they used to drive every day, 79 miles to work and drive back. So they was driving about 160 miles a day to keep us from changing middle schools and high schools throughout our lower grade years. So we stayed in the same house and went to the same middle school and high school, but my mom, they just continued to drive back and forth between Austin and San Antonio each and every day.
I got to ask, at any point growing up, did you ever consider going into the military because of your parents?
No. I mean, one thing, I had asthma, so that's already a no. So that was not an option for me. I never thought about it. But my parents, where they was raised, where they was brought up, my mom really, she came from nothing. So a little small town outside of Waco, Texas, where Baylor's located at. But she come from a small town outside of there, about 20, 30 minutes outside of Waco. One blinking street light. It's, to me, it's still segregated. You have the Hispanics in one area, the blacks in one area, the whites in another area. There's really no jobs, no nothing that's there. And I'm almost related to it. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the population of somewhere around 400 people, and I'm related somehow, some way to every black person in that town. So when she turned 18, she graduated from high school. She jumped on a bus, joined the military. If I'm not mistaken, she said she left home at 18 and didn't return till she was somewhere around 22, 23 years old. And my father basically did the same thing. He was born in Richmond, Virginia, but grew up in Norfolk, Virginia. He was raised by his grandparents, and his grandfather was in the military. And when he was 18 years old, he just wanted to get out of there, join the military. All his brothers and sisters are still right there in the same area where they was raised, but he jumped and went overseas to, I think him and my mother, if I'm not mistaken, met in Germany. And 4 months after knowing each other, they was dating. They got married because how the military works is if you're not married, they will separate you. And my mom was originally in the Air Force, and then she ended up in the Navy. So, yeah, I mean, from there, it was just they really didn't come from too much, and that was one way of, starting a life off of coming from where they coming from nothing. And from that point, man, they just made life for me and my brother easier growing up and put us in the best schools. We both ended up going to University of Texas, playing football. And now my brother, he works for the government. He works from Homeland Security. He lives in Dallas now. And then I'm playing football in the NFL.
When did you get active into sports?
Man, I have a twin brother, so it was one way to keep me and my brother busy. I got 2 kids right now, a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, and they fight all day long. So it was just one of the things that my mom and my dad was more of just get us out the house. So, it was practice and things all week. And on Saturdays, we normally played 2 sports at a time when we was in recreational sports. So whether it was soccer and basketball or soccer and football, baseball and basketball. I mean, we basically played sports all the time. I think we started when we were somewhere around 4 years old. We started playing soccer, and then we started playing t-ball. So started out with soccer and t-ball, then we incorporated basketball, then football, and then it just kept on going all the way through high school. We just played all those sports, and then I started running track in high school. And when it came down to it, in high school, I had to kind of cut back just because of how the seasons overlapped each other. So I just stuck with football, basketball, and track.
Now, growing up, what was your favorite sport growing up? Was it football or was it another sport at the time?
Man, honest, truthfully, I loved soccer growing up. That was my favorite sport. I love soccer a lot, and for some odd reason, all of a sudden I just started loving baseball again. I don't know why, but I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the fact that you can play baseball forever. I don't know what it is, but my favorite sport was soccer. I used to go to tournaments. I remember like every weekend we used to travel tournaments. I played on the USA team, and we used to just travel, do a lot of traveling, to play in different soccer tournaments, all-star teams, and things of that nature. But, I mean, I really loved soccer when I was growing up. It was one of my favorite sports. But one of them situations when I got to high school, it was looking towards taking that next step. When it come to college, I was pretty good in football and stuff. I didn't think I was that good, but, everything just fell into place, and everybody knows those stories where there was other players that were better than you, but, just making all those right decisions and taking the right paths to get to where I got today. I mean, I just stayed on path just to continue to I had a goal in mind, and I just stayed on that path.
Now, like you said earlier, you said you have a twin brother. How competitive were you two growing up?
You know what? It wasn't necessarily competitive because we was always our number one supporter. So I always supported him, and people don't know. Everybody asks me who I looked up to when I was growing up. It was always my brother. I always looked up to him, One thing I could tell you was he did everything right. I was one of those people that always tried to rely on athleticism. He was one of those guys that did everything right. And I think seeing that today, just doing the right things is what still, has me in this league today. But, everybody wanted to know who was bigger, who was faster, who was stronger. So it wasn't necessarily a competitive nature between me and him because to us, we was always our number one. We was each other's always number one fans. And we was always each other's number one supporters. But to everybody else, it was always a competition between us, which to us, it was never, we didn't care, We was best friends. So it wasn't one of those things that we really cared about who was better and what. It was how can we make each other better. So to everybody else, and that's how everybody look at twins today is, who's what, who can do what the best. So there's really to me, us, it was no comparison. We was two different people. But to everybody else, we were the same. So everybody always wanted to see, what they can find out there was a difference between me and my brother.
Now, back in high school, you played running back and defensive back at Bowie High School. For those that might not know about the state of Texas. How big is high school football in the state of Texas?
Man, crazy. Man, I mean, there was some games that I remember playing in that I see some of these small college stadiums that, you know, we used to fill up easily on Friday nights. It was easy to fill those stadiums up. Let alone if you was playing against another team that had a good, whether it was a good team or not. I mean, it was easy to fill up stadiums on Friday nights. That was the place to be. Friday night football is played. Even today, when I come back, I still go to Friday night football games because you're going to see good football, in my personal opinion. I mean, I'm in Tennessee right now, and I go to some of the games, and it's just, you look in the stands, there's just not that many people, and they're not into it the way we were into it when we was playing football. So, I mean, it's just different in Texas, you know, and we used to travel just to go see, like, different players that you knew that was coming out, going to, you know, Division I schools. You used to just travel just to go check them out, just because you just wanted to see them play football.
Now, once you were on the high school level, what were your dreams during that time of becoming? Was it the NFL during that time?
You know what? Like I said, I played football, and I was like all Central Texan, and I was honorable mention all-state running back, and I really didn't play defense that much. You know, it's a big tournament here in Texas, 7-on-7 tournament, Nike 7-on-7 tournament that all the high schools get a 7-on-7 team. So it's like, you know, your skill positions. And we had our high school football team, when it came to athletes, we didn't have the best athletes, but we had some good players. And one thing that we did when we went to this 7-on-7 tournament, we ended up losing to Baytown Lee. And in college, Iowa had a quarterback named Drew Tate. That was their quarterback at Baytown Lee. But and Charles Godfrey, that plays for Carolina Panthers, he was also on that team. But one of the things we did was we put our slower guys on offense, just because we know fast guys don't like covering slower guys, because you never know when that guy's running full speed or what he's doing. Normally when a fast guy runs routes, he slows down before he breaks into his routes. Well, a slow guy is going to always run his routes the same speed, and fast guys cannot figure that out. So in this tournament, we just put our slower guys on offense and put our faster guys on defense, and basically played two-man, had our two safeties over top, and had our fast guys just running underneath all the routes. Well, we ended up going all the way to the state game and would have won, but one of our guys caught the ball when he turned around. The other team just pulled the ball out of his hand, scored a touchdown, and the game was over. But I ended up getting MVP, defensive back of the tournament, because I had like 8 interceptions. And from that point on, I just started getting recruited as a defensive back across the country, because of that. That tournament was real big, and a lot of college scouts came out to that tournament. And from that point on, it was like, I mean, I wanted to play running back, but I was only 165 pounds. And when I got to University of Texas, we had another guy named Eric Hardeman that was, if I'm not mistaken, second, maybe third ranked running back in the nation. He was 6'2", 230-pound running back. Was a freak of nature. And we had Jamal Charles, who now plays for the Kansas City Chiefs. He was already committed coming in the following year. And we also had Cedric Benson on the team at the time. And we had Selvin Young, who went on and played undrafted free agent, was starting running back for Denver Broncos for a while before he hurt his neck. So the roster was packed full of running backs. When I got to University of Texas, it was one of those situations where I just realized at 165 pounds I was never going to get to play. So I asked the coach, what other positions can I play? And he was like, you know, I know you're an athlete, and we know you could play defensive back. So I ended up, you know, looking at the wide receiver position, but we had Roy Williams, who was a first-rounder, Lyman Sweet, who went on to play for Pittsburgh Steelers, Jordan Shipley, who was drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals and played last year with Jacksonville. Billy Pittman, who went to San Diego. So we had a couple of receivers on the team, and I'm like, this is not going to work for me. Like, we already had receivers that played the position, knew the position, and I was new to it. So I went over to the defense side of the ball, and I just studied the nickelback position because we had one guy that was the nickelback, but if one of the safeties went down, which was Michael Huff, who was a Thorpe Award winner, first rounder, and Philip Giger, Dakari Pearson, if one of those two, and Dakari Pearson was coming off a year, he had 5 interceptions going into his senior year. So Philip Giger was the backup. So I just studied the nickel position because I knew if one of the safeties go down, then Philip Giger would have to go to safety, and we had no nickel. So I remember by the 7th game of the season, Dakari Pearson tears his shoulder up. He dislocates his shoulder, tears his labrum and everything. Philip Giger goes to safety. Well, we're playing a passing team, and the coach says, who knows the nickelback position? Well, I tell Coach, hey, I know the nickelback position. When I'm a freshman, he's like, you just came over from offense. You don't know no nickelback position. I'm like, yeah, I do. I studied it. So he's like, go in the game, but if you screw up, just know that's your tell. So he puts me in the game, calls a nickel blitz. I blitz, sack the quarterback, calls fumble, we get the ball back. And from that point on, I was able to stay on defense, and I just managed to work my way on just playing defense on University of Texas football team.
I got to ask, what was the deciding factor in choosing the University of Texas?
When you're from Texas, I mean, at the time, that was the school to go to. Now you got teams like in the Big 12, Oklahoma State, Baylor, A&M was in the division at the time. You had all these schools, but at the time, Texas was the powerhouse. Each and every year it came down to the Red River Shootout, and it was between Oklahoma or Texas that was going to win the Big 12. And then also you had like teams like Nebraska and Colorado that was in the Big 12. But at the time it was, being from the state of Texas, literally being from Austin and University of Texas right here in Austin, it was a no-brainer. The only thing was I had offers from University of Miami, LSU, you name it, I had offers. But Texas was the last school to offer me because, again, I was a 165-pound running back that they kind of looked at like I don't see any use for that. And they looked at me as an athlete, but it was like, what position was I going to play? And, they gave me the scholarship. I committed, and from that point on, it was trying to figure my way out, through that whole situation on where I wanted to play and what I was going to focus on and stick with. And, it worked this way out, and let alone my brother, they allowed him to walk on, but he had academic scholarships, so they treated him like a scholarship player. So that was another big main factor when Coach Brown was there. He asked my brother, hey, we don't have enough scholarships for you, but you have academic scholarships that we can get you that, the first 2 years, work you, he redshirted, and then the next year he played. He was a starting dime, so he always came in and dime. But when they was one of the coaches that also, wanted to bring him in also, it was just one of those situations where, I got to continue to play, my career playing with my brother. In my senior year, me and my brother ended up starting at the safeties position. So it's just one of the situations where, a coach giving me an opportunity to continue, playing football with my brother.
Talk about the 2006 Rose Bowl game for the national championship against USC. At the time, both teams were undefeated. USC was the two-time defending AP national champions. How big was that game for you and your team?
Man, that was my 21st birthday, to be exact. So I just remember waking up, 21st birthday. It was one of them games where it was just, if you go back and look at the rosters on both teams and look at the players that are still in the NFL right now, it was like an NFL football game. And you talk about the linebacker core that USC had, Keith Rivers, Ray Maluga, Clay Matthews, Brian Cushing. Even when you look at, their secondary, they had some great players, Darnell Bean. You had, what's his name? He plays for the Giants. I can't remember his name right now. I'm real good. I can't really remember his name. But just the type of players that was out there. You had 2 Heisman Trophy winners, two Thorpe Award winners. If you look at Michael Huff and Aaron Ross the next year, Brian Rakpo, Jermichael Finley. I mean, you name Jamal Charles. It was just so many different players that was out there playing. Reggie Bush, Landell White, Dominique Byrd. It was some great players out there that's still doing great things in the league today. So just playing that game, I mean, it was a game, as you seen, came down to the finish. You know, we started out fast.
Well, it's considered one of the greatest games in college
football.
football.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of them situations where, I mean, it just kept swinging both ways. It was like, you know, these championship games you're seeing now is almost like, you know, you basically know going into the game who's going to win. But going into that game, it was one of them situations where it was, you know, a lot of people wanted to say USC, but a lot of people wanted to say Texas. It was just one of them situations where you really just didn't know. And I think it was, you can literally say it was one of the best championship games. I mean, I'm trying to think of some of the games that have been played in the past that really just had you on your feet, but I really can't think of none that just really just came down to that last play to determine, you know, history, you know.
Wow. Now, in 2007, you were drafted 19th overall by the Tennessee Titans. How was that when they called your name and you knew this is real? I'm in the NFL. What was that?
You know
what? Was that experience and feeling like?
It was one of them, you know, because, you know, it's one of them situations. You know, it was like, believe it or not, I mean, I'm a real humble person. I'm not no flashy guy. I'm not no guy. You know, I'm a family man. I got my kids. I got my fiance. You know, it's one of those situations where it was like not necessarily a dream come true, but it was like, again, like I said, when I was in high school, it was like I was just playing football for the fun of it, and I was just playing, and it was like, I knew I was not necessarily knew I was good, but it was like, okay, I'm good. You know, I'm straight. Like, I'm good on my team. I'm a good football player, you know. But it was one of them situations where when these coaches start calling you and asking you to come to these big-time universities to play football for them, and it's like, you know, you see them on TV, whether you was in middle school or whether you was in high school. You see these universities on you know, like back when I was in high school, like Miami was the team, you know, Sean Taylor, Ed Reed, you know, you had got Antrell Roll.
What they say
Ray
you.
Yeah, and it was like when coaches is calling you and asking you to come join them, you're like, hold on, wait a minute, what? Hold on, like, I'm decent, but I'm not like that. You know what I mean? And then when a team like, you know, Michigan, you know, Charles Woodson play there, and it's like, hold on, I'm decent, but I'm not that. Or Oklahoma at the time was beating Texas 24, and even Texas, you know, they had Cedric Benson, you had Roy Williams, you had Major Applewhite, you had all these guys, whether it was Corey Redding or, you know, Casey Hampton, Sean Rogers. These guys have been still playing the league today. It was like, I'm good, but I'm not that good to be on the same field, let alone on the same team as those guys. So me personally, when I was in high school, I was just trying to get to the local, you know, Division I, 2A school at best, which was Texas State at the time. And then I was like, okay, well, Baylor contacted me first, and at the time, Baylor wasn't a good team. So I was like, ooh, wow, I get to go to a D1 school in the Big 12, but, you know, I feel like I could play on that team because they wasn't a good football team. But when teams like Texas or LSU or Oklahoma, these teams that's in the top 10 each and every year is calling you, now I'm like, okay. Then when I get to Texas and I, you know, I do good, but you got to keep in mind how many major universities are across the country, and when your name is called and there's only 32 picks in the first round, and just like that, it's like, yo, I'm considered a millionaire at 22 years old.
So that was basically a life-changing experience.
That is basically, I mean, you gotta understand, and you ask yourself, and people never understand why these people get in trouble. It's easy when you 30 and 40 years old and you've been through life and you had all the fun in the world, and you say, I don't understand how these people got millions of dollars and they get in trouble. Well, think about it. You 21, 22 years old. What was you doing at 21, 22 years old? Whether it's graduating out of college or you in college, or whether you didn't even go to college. What are you doing at 21, 22 years old? So it's hard to say, I'm going to give you this check right here for this amount of money. Now I need you just to grow up right now overnight. And let alone a lot of these people who come into this league is young men who some don't have fathers and wasn't raised in the right situations, and some come from nothing. So it's kind of hard when you give somebody that he never had, and he has the keys to the city, and you tell him, hey, be on your best behavior, but he almost feels unstoppable because he's never been in this situation. There's never been a time in his life where he can, buy a brand new pair of shoes or didn't have to worry about his next meal. He wasn't living on a Pell Grant, or getting some assistant living in college. I mean, this is his first time in his life that he can literally go to the store and buy something and not have to worry about tomorrow.
Let me ask you, in your opinion, do you think those rookie symposiums are effective?
Very much so. I think they are. But the problem is you have a lot of young-minded people, like I say, that don't understand and never seen that. It's kind of like if you raised in the bad part of town all your life and then you go over to the good part of town and, imagine this. Imagine being in the bad part of town, and let me see how to make this, and I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody, but being in the bad part of town, and there's no grass, and there's graffiti all over the walls, and and it's just, this is what you see every day, holes in shoes, and things of that nature, and then you go, it's kind of like this. This is a perfect example. Chick-fil-A. Have you ever seen a Chick-fil-A in the bad part of town?
No, I haven't. Thinking about it, no, I haven't.
You've never seen a Chick-fil-A in the bad part of town? Let me ask yourself that. You've never seen a Chick-fil-A. But have you ever seen a Popeyes in the good part of town?
Man, thinking about it, I don't recall. No.
You see what I'm saying? Like, I mean, that's what I mean. I mean, I know a lot of people on my team to see it. Oh, my God, y'all ever had a Chick-fil-A? Oh, my God, it's great. But it's, huh? And to me, I mean, it's crazy because, like, again, my mom and my dad gave me a good lifestyle and upbringing. So it's like, I seen Chick-fil-A all the time, but I never ate there because it was expensive. So, but you see what I'm saying? But I got to go out the way to go to Popeyes.
To your point, with you being young at the time, 21 and a millionaire, why did you find it important to return to the University of Texas in the off season to pursue your college degree in youth and community studies? Why was that important to you?
Because one thing is the NFL, and not something I was always told, is it stands for not for long. And what people don't ever understand is that all it takes is one false step, one hit, it just takes one play. The same way you could be a millionaire overnight, the same way your career can be over. It's that quick. Ain't nothing guaranteed in life except for death.
Talk to me about that first training camp. How intense does training camp get?
It's better now. But when I first got in the league, you got to understand, when you first get in the league, you're a first rounder. So it's almost like guaranteed you're going to have a position. But you got to understand, each and every year, it's a business, it's an organization. We ain't nothing but just men working for 32 owners that's billionaires. So we really, we work for them, and it's just like any other business. We always trying to find a cheaper way to get the same thing done better. So it's one of them situations where, and I laugh about this a lot because it's funny, and this is maybe just my belief. This is how I look at things and my view and my opinions on things. But you see a lot of players that want contract extensions or want raises. You know what I mean? They want a new contract. They want more money. I did this. I did that. I did this. I did that. Well, the way I look at it is, you supposed to do that. That's your job. Every time I throw you the ball, you're supposed to try to score. Every time I hand you off the ball, you need to try to get a first down or you need to score. That's the objective of the football game. You had this many sacks. Well, that's what you're supposed to do. That's your job.
Interesting.
I mean, that's the way I look at it. Like,
yeah,
you had this many interceptions. You ain't supposed to let them catch the ball. You're supposed to get the ball. Like, that's your job. That's the point of playing defense. What do you you gonna hold out because you did something you were supposed to do? Didn't I hire you to do that?
In your opinion, do players look down upon that, or they just understand that's part of the business?
I mean, I know a lot of players look at. I mean, it's again, it goes back to the lifestyle, and one thing that I always learn is never start a lifestyle that I know I can't continue to live for the rest of my life when these checks are not coming in.
That's a great point right there.
Because you got to understand, these checks is not going to always come in. So you can't live this lifestyle for the rest of your life. And people ask this question, and it was so funny. And I know it's so disrespectful and so arrogant and so ignorant at the same time. But I remember I was in Vegas sitting with one of my friends, and we was talking about paying child support, and he says, I gave my son's mother $25,000 in advancement for the year, for my child support for the year. I gave her $25,000. I said, how much you supposed to give her? Because I'm only supposed to give her $18,000, but I gave her $25,000 on the first of the year. It took her 3 months to call me and say, I already spent all the money. He says, I'm trying to figure out, how does she spend $25,000 less than 3 months? I laughed. He goes, why are you laughing? I say, ask yourself how people spend millions of dollars
in a couple of months. Probably a week.
In a couple of months. Or when they done playing, how they're broke. What do you mean? You don't think somebody can spend $25,000? If somebody can spend millions of dollars, like George Foreman or Mike Tyson, $400 million gone. What do you mean? You don't think somebody can spend $25,000 if these guys can spend $400 million? And you don't know where to. And I mean, I said, ask yourself how many times you look back on how much. Just check your account and ask yourself, where did all this money go? Because it's easy. I give you $25,000, and you say, well, listen, I'm gonna go ahead and spend this $10,000 right now to put a down payment on a car. And then you say, okay, I'm good because I still got $15,000. And then you say, well, hold on, let me spend $2,000 right here. Okay, I'm still good. I got $13,000. And then something comes up randomly, and I got to spend $5,000. I'm still good because I got $8,000. I mean, it's easy to spend through that money easily. Because you always think, I'm still good, and then next thing you know, when you don't have it coming in,
in life,
you don't know what happens to it. And that's the same thing that goes with professional athletes. As long as those checks is coming in, everything is good. But what do you do when them checks is not coming in no more? When you got 2 and 3 and 4 mortgages, whether it's taking care of your families, you know, your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, your aunt, your grandma. Like, what do you do? Because I asked him, I told one of my former he's not a former teammate, but I asked him, he played at Texas, and he bought his mother a 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom house. And I say, who lives there with her? And he said, nobody. She lives there by herself. And I asked him, what's the purpose? He goes, what do you mean? I say, you realize she's probably going to have a homeowners association. She's going to have to cut that grass herself or get somebody else to come and cut it. You realize these new houses got separate AC units, so you probably got one upstairs and one downstairs. I say, the electric bill is going to be on that house. I was like, think about your gas bill. The bigger house requires more, more gas to weather the heat and cool it. So I say, you realize all this goes into a house, right? So my question is, it's cool down because you just got drafted and you're getting these checks. But what do you do if something happens and you're not getting them checks no more, and now she's looking at you to continue to take care of that, but you trying to have your own family and take care of your own situations?
That's a great point.
That's things that, when it comes to rookie support, you really got to listen to these different things because, you got to understand there's just so many different things. Like I said, at 21, 22 years old, you don't think about, like, what I think about now, I wasn't thinking about at 21, 22 years old, at 29. But the things that I seen at 22, then 23, then 24, then 25, the things that I've seen all the way up until now, whether it's relationships and marriage, because, that's a whole different other topic. Because you got to understand our lifestyle, the way we live as pro athletes, for 6 months out of the year, we work. And then the next 6 months, we enjoying ourselves, whether it's going on family vacations and training and doing different things in the off season. But what do you do when you out the lead and now you're a married man with a family and you start realizing things that you never realized before because now you got more time on your hands? So whether it's, now you like, yo, babe, we don't need no nanny no more. The kids is older. Babe, we don't need no maid to come in and clean the house no more. Babe, what do you do all day? This is what you do all day? And I was hiring somebody to do the stuff that you could have been doing? You just spending my money all day? You ain't cooking, you don't know how to cook? Like, that's the things that happen when you done playing. You don't cook, you don't clean, you spent all my money. What is going on? What is the point of us being together? And then she may look at you the same way. Like, I'm used to you not being here. I'm used to you all in my face now. We don't have nothing in common. We had something in common when I wasn't playing. When I was playing, now we ain't got nothing in common. Because that's a different lifestyle that the women got to also adjust to.
To that end, like you said now, knowing what you know and then being in the league for a while, do you prepare yourself for life after football? Like you have a strategy on what you want to do with your life beyond?
Day one started that. Like, day one had a good financial advisor, and I started that, like, preparing for life after. I'm set, like, and thank you, God, I'm set. Like, I ain't got to work another day in my life. I can live the same lifestyle that I'm living right now for the rest of my life. I'm set because I never have to touch the principal. I don't have to. It's almost like it's like I've never got into jewelry because jewelry is just like cars, and it changes. One year it's silver and diamonds, then the next thing is gold, or it's rose gold, or it's white gold, or it's colored diamonds, and then it's the different colored diamonds, and now it's going back to gold, and it's the Cuban links. I never got into all that stuff. I mean, I never got into all that stuff. It was no point. Like, it was, I mean, you think about it, I literally seen somebody have like over $500,000 worth of jewelry, and I'm like, you would never get $500,000 for that. I never understood what was the point of having like some heavy thing on your neck anyway.
So let me ask you, what are you into outside of football?
Dude, I got kids, man. I got kids. Like that's I got kids. I got the dogs, I got the kids. I got 2 dealer cars. If I'd have got those 2 dealer cars before I bought my 2 first cars, I would have never bought a car. I got 2 dealer cars that I drive those every day. Me and my fiance drive those every day. Those are cars we drive. Like, I got my Escalade, 07 Escalade that I still got. I haven't even bought a new car since my rookie year. Cars depreciate. I would never buy another brand new car ever again.
You know, that sounds like the conversation that Barry Sanders talked about one time. Did you ever get a chance to meet him?
No, I never met him. But I mean, again, like I say, man, like I said, I've been in Tennessee for the last 7 going on 8 years, and I've seen a lot. Like, since I've been there, I'm the only person that's still there on the defensive side of the ball, and there's only one person on the offensive side of the ball that's been there through the 3 different coaches, through the 4 different defensive coordinators and stuff. Like, I had so many people that I seen, and one of the guys that I look up to was Keith Bullock, because he told me so much stuff when I was a rookie, and it just like, even to this day, he still got the same cars he had when he was playing, when I first met him. And he was like, for what? Like, and he's like, you got to do like these people that keep their money. Like, they don't invest in stuff they don't spend their money and invest in stuff that depreciates value. You can't worry about that stuff. That, like, what's the point of having all these new cars where everybody says, ooh, that's nice, but it ain't doing nothing for you. You losing.
Speaking of the Titans, do you plan on finishing your career with the Titans after signing the new contract?
Man, I got 3 more years left, God forbid, I just want to play football, I want to stay in Tennessee, I don't want to do that whole trying to, get adapted into a new city or whatnot, especially not this late in my career. But, if it happens, it happens. It's part, like I said, it's part of the business. So, whatever happens, it happens. And I got to roll with it. But, I mean, if it happens, I want to stay in Tennessee. I think we got a good football team. I think we're heading in the right direction. But, it's one of those situations where it's a business. And like I say, each and every year they're trying to bring in somebody to take your job for a cheaper price.
Now, with an athlete's goal, a professional NFL athlete, their goal is to reach the ultimate, the Super Bowl. Would you feel a void if you never made it to the Super Bowl?
It's one of those situations where it's a team. It's a team, a lot of times these teams that go to the Super Bowl, everybody's on board. And I feel like right now this team we got growing up, everybody's on board. In the past, man, it's, not to talk about teammates and stuff, but we had some people that really worried more about themselves. But I mean, and nothing to take away from them as people, as an individual person. It was just some people, just But right now, I mean, I feel like, we head in the right direction. Some guys we lost, I really felt like that could really help us still go in the right direction. Like Chris Johnson, he still has it. A lot of people question, but he still has it. Kenny Britt, I wish, I don't know, he has all the God-given ability, and I wish him the best of luck. I mean, I know a lot of people, downgrade him and things of that nature, but I mean, he's a great person, and I really felt like he could still help this football team out. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, we got a good team, good young team, and I really feel like we got the guys to get the job done. We just gotta to stick together. It's gonna be a rocky road. It's not an easy road to get there. So I really feel like we just put our minds to it. We all stick together, especially with the new coaching staff we got. I mean, I really like this team I'm on right now.
I got to ask you about the hitting rule with Roger Goodell, because you had a hit on the Oakland receiver.
Oh yeah, man, that thing cost me so much.
But if you look at it, he was going down at the time, but I guess because in fast motion it looked the way it did. What's your thoughts on the whole hitting rule?
Man, you know what? It's one of them situations where, again, it goes back to your workers in a $1 billion incorporation. And it's one of them things like, if you're not going to abide by the rule, we would definitely find somebody else that will. So when it comes down to it, I just got to do everything I can to play within the rules. But what do I think about the hit? Man, it's over. If it presented itself again, would I take the hit? I mean, my job is to keep somebody from catching the ball. And I did that. It just, in their rules, I didn't do it within the rules. I tried, but I didn't get it done. So, yeah. Would I do it again? What would I change? I don't know what I would change. Outside, I got to bury my head into the ground, which is kind of impossible. I'm not no gopher. So, I don't know what I would, if I can get there a little quicker, maybe I'll make the hit, the correct hit. But, I mean, my job as a safety in the middle of the field is, dislodge the ball from the ball carrier, and that's what I got to do.
I got to ask you because, in the research, I saw this interview you did, and you were talking about your pregame ritual. Can you talk about that, the pregame ritual with the prayer?
You know what? This is one of them things. Every time I come out the tunnel, I thank them, for allowing me to come out that tunnel one more time, because it's like I said in the beginning, it ain't guaranteed. Just the same way you come up, you become a millionaire overnight. The same way you can become, become looking for another job, or if it ain't looking for another job, paralyzed, whatever it may be. Your life can change that quickly. And really just thanking them, again, like all this wouldn't be happening, man, if it wasn't for the good man upstairs. It wouldn't be happening. This, I didn't do this on my own, It took for God to give me some good set of parents, some good people around me, and keeping me on the right path. It took all of that for me to get to where I am today. I didn't do this on my own. It took a lot of people that God put in my life to get me to where I am today.
I got to ask you, man, who's the toughest quarterback you had to prepare for?
Man, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, and Aaron Rodgers. Them the top three. They in the league of their own. Them three is in the league of their own. Them three is in the league of their own.
I got to ask, man, because you know my team, the Redskins, man. What's your thoughts on RG3, man?
I don't think he was ready last year. I think he got a little bit better as the season got going, but I don't think he was ready when the season first started. You got to understand, he tore his ACL in the playoff game. He was done. And you mean to tell me 6-7 months later? Yeah, I don't think he was ready. And one thing about injuries is sometimes you're ready, but mentally you're not ready. And it takes time for you to gain that confidence back where you're not thinking about it no more. And that whole game, you could just tell whenever he planned it or anything, he was thinking the whole time. It wasn't coming natural. But as a quarterback, very smart. He has a strong arm. I think you will see a different RG3 this year than you saw last year. I think you would see him making that next step that everybody was expecting him to make last year. I think he would take those 2 steps this year going forward.
Okay. Before we get into, because I'm about to transition over into the dogs now. When did you get involved with the American Bully?
Man, I always wanted a pit bull. My mother wouldn't let me have one, man. I always wanted one. And it's a funny story because I still have those 2 dogs today. But when I was a sophomore in college, I was living at home, and I brought home, right after work, I was working at Finish Line. Right after work, I ran over to this guy named Jimmy and bought this blue pit bull named Shaq. Brought him home, told my parents it was some rare color Labrador. And it worked. Until as he got older, his head started getting bigger. And next thing you know, I was like, damn, I got to get his ears cut sooner or later. So I got his ears cut, and she was like, oh, my God, that's a pit bull. I'm like, yeah, they lied to me, Mom. And then I was okay with that because she was like, okay, you know, the myths about they're aggressive and everything. She was like, he's a good dog. Then I went and got another Labrador and told her again, hey, they lied to me again. I got a female. And from that point on, I had those 2. And from there, I was 19 years old. And I started going to, like, you know, back in the day, the barbecues and stuff. And when I was right after the Rose Bowl, I went to Dave's house, got to see his yard out there in Virginia. Man, I just started traveling, just seeing so many different dogs, and I went to my first barbecue that was out in Houston. That's when I met Byron from Boss Hog Bullies, and he had our Razor Edge Pit Stop Armani. I saw Backyard Boogie for the first time, the Guideline Backyard Boogie. I saw West Coast Guideline Monster. It was I just started seeing. It's funny because today it's like a lot of people, if you ask them have they ever seen these dogs, they never seen them. They never seen them, and that's shocking to me because I've seen a lot of these dogs that people, you know, to me I feel like missed out on seeing.
What was the first bully that caught your eye in your travels?
The first one that caught my eye, you know, I love Monster. You know, that fawn with that blue, and he had he had a lot of drive. I loved him. And it's funny because Backyard Boogie has that look that I feel like a lot of people today would have loved, but he was, you know, he was before his time. And it's funny because you see a lot of dogs that whether they are before their time or after their time, that, you know, you'd be like, back in the day, that dog right there would have been the dog. But he's just after his time. Or some dogs you saw back in the day, if you think about it, today they will be one of the best looking dogs that's out there. So it's just one of them situations. Like, I mean, I like Monster. Trying to think who else I've seen back in the day. I used to like Monster. I used to like Excalibur. Monster, Excalibur. I don't know if anybody know P. Diddy. He was off Lil Roll and Denial. I like P. Diddy. I don't know if anybody remember Hippo. He was that Razor's Edge Hippo. He was nice.
Yeah, that's a big boy.
So I mean, it was Hippo. I'm trying to think who else was big name dogs that I just remember back in the day that I used to like. I remember Rizzy when he was a puppy. Got to see King Kamali. He was real nice. Went to Pratt's Yard, King Kamali. Nemesis might have been the dog with the most confidence ever. Like, if you ever watch Lion King and see how Simba and Mufasa walked out there on that rock, that's how That's how what's his name? Pratt's dog, Nemesis. That's how he walked out of his kennel. It was impressive. Like, that dog just stayed alert, tail up the whole time. Didn't bark, didn't growl. Hair on his back wasn't raised, no nothing. He was just standing like, look at me. And that was like, I mean, he was nice. So, I mean, back in the day, I mean, Nemesis, I used to love big dogs. Nemesis might have been the biggest dog that I really liked. I don't know if anybody remember Bones. He was off of Nemesis, bred to Paco's little mate sister. Knockout pits on them. He was real nice too.
What blood do you currently have on your yard?
Man, let's see here. I got Dax Augie's little mate brother. So you got a Dax daughter bred back to Miyagi. I got a little Roach female. I got a direct corrupt. Now, my corrupt son, he's like a dog that's, he's basically old. He's only 3 years old, but he's kind of after his time. He's kind of old school blood. If you think about Rizzy being somewhere around 7 years old, if I'm not mistaken, 6, 7 years old, and then corrupt, of course, 10 years old. So I got a Rizzy daughter bred back to corrupt. Big old. He's about 17 inches tall. He's a grand champion, extreme grand champion. About a 25, close 26-inch head, wide, nice. I love him, but he's one of them dogs that, I love him for myself, but he's just a dog after his time. He's just late. But I have him. I have some Dax stuff. Then I still have some X and Bonnie stuff because I have my male Blade who just passed away about 2-3 months ago. I still have some stuff that's off of him, which, the dogs I like to put in the show rings, the X and Bonnie stuff.
You know what? I got to ask you, man, because, a lot of the controversy in the bully world was talking about, with the whole, the Miyagi blood. Were you able to register your Miyagi pup off of Dax Augie?
No, I wasn't. The funny thing is I won an ABKC show with him one time, the entire show. And at the end of the show, the judge asked me who was he off of. He said, he looked like he goes back to some Dax stuff, but he looks kind of funny. And I said, well, if I told you he's off Miyagi, bred to a Dax daughter, he was like, are you serious? And I was like, so that to me, I just wanted to prove a point that, you shouldn't, dogs shouldn't get penalized because of controversy between people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I always felt about this bully game is that people's egos in this, who has their power or however you want to look at it, gets in between the whole purpose of having dog shows and for the love of the dogs. And that to me, because I mean, even back in the day, people poisoning people's dogs and, hey, I mean, it's just when it all comes down to it, and I hate to say this, and I know there may be some kids listening or whatever, but when it comes down to it, it's like people feel like they dog judges how big they private part is. It makes them more of a man. And I don't understand that. Like, if you got a nice dog, you got a nice dog. That's what it all comes down to. It. Don't hate the man because, that dog is mixed or that dog is this or that dog. Why are you, if you love dogs, you love dogs. It doesn't matter what kind of dog it is. You love dogs.
That's interesting because, I had a Manuel on, the owner of Dax Augie, and he always said, my dog's not exotic, it's American Bully. And it always, when it all comes down to it, and I'm not questioning nobody, because I know I just know, period, genetics come from all different areas. My mother ran track when she was in high school, but that don't mean that's where I got my athleticism to play football at, because neither one of my parents played football. I don't have nobody on neither side of my family that played football. And the same thing goes for my son. I can't expect my son to be
a football player, or his mom has so many state records in high school track and went to University of Texas to run track, but I'm not going to look at my son and say, you're going to be a track star, you're going to be a football player because it's just in your DNA. That's not possible because he's still pulling characteristics and genetics from my mother, my father, my brother, my great aunts and uncles, and my grandmother, and his other side of family, his mom's side of family, and her brother. He's pulling all these genetics, and then when it all comes down to it, you may have a hit, or you may not. But it's just one of them situations that, you know, people question, well, what's this, or what's that, or what's this, or what's that? And it goes back to, even when it comes down to, you mean to tell me that Knuckles, I mean, nobody ever questioned when they said Knuckles made all these different random dogs. I mean, did he? I don't know. Who am I to tell? I mean, who cares? Just accept the dog for what you see before you. Because when it comes down to the American Bully or the Pit Bull or whatever, not one dog looks alike. It does. I've got dogs in my yard. I had a shorty bull get out one time in my yard, and the lady next door told me, "Oh my God, your pit bull got out, but she was so cute." I'm like, "What pit bull was you looking at?" And I have people ask me when they seen Blade, "Oh my God, what type of dog is that?" So it's like, these dogs don't look the same at all. You go to an ABKC show and you look at the standard class, you look at the extreme class, you look at the classic. None of the dogs look alike. No dogs look. Even when you look at shorty bulls, they don't look alike. Frenchies, they don't look alike. English bulldogs, they don't look alike. None of these bulldog breeds look alike. These bully breeds do not look alike. They don't look like Doberman. Doberman, you know you're going to get black, you're going to get red, or you may get that little purple tricolor, but you know you're going to get those markings. Rottweilers, they're going to be black with the fawn around, with the brown or fawn around their mouth. Collies, you're going to get either black tri or you're going to get a red tri. That's what you're going to get. Huskies, you're going to get white. You know what you're going to get. All these dogs look alike. This breed, bully breeds, you don't know what you get. You know that. Everybody know that. You don't know what you get.
Yeah. With that being said, just with your yard, what registries do you support with when it comes to your dogs in your yard?
All of them, man. Like that's the problem. We all against each other.
Yeah. What's your thoughts?
We all against each. Like, it goes back to, and I no disrespect to nobody, but this is my personal opinion, and this is just to me, because I'm not one of those people that my life does not evolve around this. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, this is a hobby, and when it ain't fun no more, then it's not a hobby. When it becomes that I hate this person because of this, and I hate this person because of that, but you don't know that person's mom, or you don't know that person's kids, you don't know that man's wife. You just, like me, I can't get mad at you if I don't know nothing about you. You can't make me mad. Because me personally, I know I'm going to go home to a beautiful fiance and 2 beautiful kids. And I'm going to live my life whether I know you or not. I don't care. I don't let that stuff bother me. I don't. I'm not going to let you steal my joy. I work too hard for my everyday life for me to, like, you to get, whether it's about dogs, I ain't got time for it. I'm too grown for that. Let's fight. What? Huh? For what? People going to dog shows and fighting, and I'm mad at you, and I'm going to criticize your dog and all that. It's a dog when it all comes down to it. And I love dogs very dearly, but it's a dog. You're mad at me, or I'm mad at you because you talked about my dog? Really? You stooping to dog levels? Ask your dog, do your dog really care? I mean, I'm dead serious.
Oh, man.
It's almost like you saying, I don't like your house. Well, that's perfectly fine because I bought my damn house. So why the fuck do I care? Excuse my language, but why do I care if you like my house or not? I don't like your dog. Well, that's cool. You're entitled to your own opinions. But I got my dog. I love my dog. That's all that matters. It's almost like your wives and your girlfriends, your significant others. I'm with her because I like her. Do I really care what you think about her? Do you really ask your friends, hey, you think she look good? Oh, you do? Okay, I'm gonna go talk to her. I'm going to date her. I'm going to make her my wife because all y'all think she look good. Or do you really date somebody and get to know them and you like them because that's what you like? So when it comes to, well, I only support this registry because of this, and they accept this and they don't. Really? You really stressing yourself out about something that don't do nothing for you? Because when it all comes down to it, and I hate to say it, but you're really just saying like, well, I'm going to give my $20 to them, and I'm not going to give my $20 to them. So I'm going to give my $20
Yeah, because
I'm going to give my $20 to
about
ABKC.
choices.
But I'm going to give my $20 to ABKC, but I ain't going to give my $20 to IBKC or BBCR or, I mean, there's so many damn registries right now. It's all the same. We judging the same thing. That's why I don't really understand, because why are we really making different registries for? Is it to make money or is it to better the breed? I really don't understand when it all comes down to it, what is it really for? And I really don't understand why all dogs can't be registered under any registry. I don't understand that. Because if it is about the money or about running a business, then you're never going to stop people from mixing breeds. It's not going to happen. People do that on a daily basis. You're not going to stop nobody from doing whatever they want to do in their own yard. You can't, because everybody has that right to do that. So by you saying, well, I'm not going to allow you into this registry, it ain't doing nothing to anybody, because if that person can still breed his dogs or mix them, or if he don't mix them or whatever, and still sell his dogs, you're not doing nothing to him in the beginning. Because right now, the way the market is going and how everything is looking, it doesn't matter. I've never bought a dog based on a dog winning an ABKC show, or IBKC show, or BB. I've never bought a dog off because that don't do nothing for me. Judging is all personal opinion. Nobody buys cars and houses based off somebody judging it. Nobody does that. It's all about, when it comes down to it, is what do you want to spend your money on? It's your money. Buy what you want to buy. It's your money. If you work for it, do what you want to do with it.
Do you even get a chance to get out to shows anymore?
Oh, I go to shows all the time, and a lot of times I just sit there and I laugh, because I know, and it's a competition. Like, I stopped really showing dogs like I used to show dogs, because a lot of people used to say the only reason why you win because of who you are. But I mean, I have so many dogs that I think a lot of people, and this is funny too, because you have to really assess your dog and tell yourself whether or not, you have to really take your blinders off and look at your dog and tell yourself, do your dog got a good shot at winning? Because me, I don't even take a dog to a show if I feel like he's not going to win. So I got dogs, and I'll be like, you ain't going, I love you to death, but you ain't going to no show ring. But everybody wants their dog to win. And I understand that you want your dog to win. But again, it goes down to, your dog is your dog. If you like it and you love it, that doesn't mean your dog is not a good-looking dog. It just means that based on the judge's opinion, he didn't like your dog the best to win that class. So I don't understand why so many people get so butthurt on when their dog don't win.
And let me ask you, Mike, because you've been around the bullies for a while now. Had you ever thought about, like, being a part of a registry as an owner? Or that's something that didn't really just...
I thought about it, and I talked to somebody. I thought about it, and I talked about it, and we talked and things of that nature. But, I mean, you know, it's so much stuff that I want to do, but at the same time, it's so much stuff that I can't do. I don't have the time. Cause I mean, like I say, I tell people all the time, like I don't, and this is the God honest truth. I don't have no blinders on. Like, if you got a nice looking dog, regardless pedigree, bloodline or whatever, if you got a nice dog, you got a nice dog. It don't matter. I don't colors, all that. It doesn't matter. If you got a nice dog, you got a nice dog. Like Miyagi, nice dog. I'm not gonna take it away from him. Dax, nice dog. I'm not gonna take that away from him. But even those dogs are like guideline or whatever you want to look at it. But I'm still not gonna take away a dog like, who's another dog that looks real good? That's a different bloodline. Let me think. Trying to think of all the dogs I've been seeing recently. Who's another dog that's real nice? It'll come to me, but I mean, those dogs are nice dogs. I like those dogs. Whether they win show, like King Kamali, nice dog. Still to this day, nice dog. But I mean, it's different.
I'm sorry, but I had to ask this one because, you know, when you go to buy a dog and people know who you are, do they jack the price on you?
Man, I hope everybody hear this. I've seen that has happened to me numerous of times. I didn't call somebody, ask somebody how much a dog, and they tell me a price, and then I done had a homeboy or somebody else or my girl call them from a different number. You know, you can go on Google and change your phone number from a different area code, and they'll tell them a total different price.
Oh,
and
wow.
When that happens, I can't speak to you because you're not a, you know, to me, you need to treat everybody with the same amount of respect, because I treat everybody with the same amount of respect. I do that. I don't care what you do. I'm going to treat you for who you are, what I see in front of me. If I see something I don't like, then after that I can assess my judgment whether or not I want to, you know, deal with you or whatnot. But, I mean, you know, the people I talk to on a daily basis and things like that, people I consider my brother, like Benny from Throw Pits. I mean, ever since I was 18, 19 years old, he took me in like a little brother and always looked out for me. Always. I talk to him almost on a daily basis. His kids call me uncle. Jakari Cooper from TFK Kennels out in the franchise kennels in Houston did the same thing. Met me when I was like 19 years old. Took me in like a little brother. His kids call me uncle. Carlos Zarate lives in San Marcos. I mean, we talk all the time, and it was funny because we always seen each other, never spoke. But then I literally like just left his son's birthday party. But I mean, we popped fireworks with our kids this past Friday. We go to the racetrack and race our cars at the quarter mile. I mean, anything I have right now, he's painting my mom's car. He put the rear end in my car. He let me borrow his truck. I mean, that's just how we are. I mean, those are the people. Bully the kid, I talk to him like on a daily basis. And we don't even talk about football. We talk about life in general. Just talk about, you know, his, you know, things he be going through, what be going on, our kids. You know, I'm asking him questions because I got a 4-year-old little girl, and he has 2 older girls. And I asked him questions about what all, you know, his girls did as they was growing up and transitioning. And he asked me questions because I got a 6-year-old son. He got a 4-year-old son. So he asked me questions about how my son changed. And that's the things we talk about. But, I mean, that's just like, it doesn't matter what you do. If you treat me with respect, I'm going to treat you with respect. And I developed a lot of relationships and friendships with a lot of people. And a lot of people, it is funny because some people don't even realize I play football until later on down the road. Because I don't, you know, I'm one of those people, like I said, I'm not big time, I'm not flashy. I'm going to speak to you, we're going to talk, we're going to have a good time or whatever it may be, and that's it.
with the time winding down, with 10 minutes left, I want to talk about your hobby of drag racing and the street wars. How did you get involved with that?
Man, last year, I got a Camaro, and I got bored with it, and just went ahead and put a turbo in it, cam, headers, chain. I just did so much different stuff to it. Put a methanol kit. Just different things I've done to it, and just really just, first time I did it, a little nervous, but it's just that little thrill, just, it's that competition. You go out there, you talk mess, whatever it is, you just race, whatever. It's all fun and games. It's just, that's another way of friendly competition. That's really my life, competition. So whether it's showing dogs, whether it's breeding dogs, whatever it is, it's competition. It's that challenge of trying to do the next best thing or trying to compete. That's all it is, and just another way to just compete. And it's all fun, but in the like my hobbies consist of competing because that's my life. That's what I get a thrill out of, is just competing, trying to be the best in everything I do.
Last question. What's next after football?
Man, you know what? Again, I got a 6-year-old son that lives here in Texas, and I got a daughter that's 4 years old, lives with me and my fiance. I do a lot of community work, and I really want to get into coaching. The problem with NFL and college is, those coaches spend more time than the players do. And I just see so many coaches, again, missing out on their kids' lives because they're so involved with work and bouncing around from, when the head coach is fired, coaching staff gone too.
Yeah.
So these coaches bouncing around from job to job. And, it's just like being in the NFL. It's like I see so many coaches that bounce around from team to team. And you just miss your kids, you just miss. That's things you can't get back. You can't get that back. You can't, even with me right now, my son living here in Texas, me living in Tennessee, there's moments in his life that I can never get back. And one thing I promised him is when I'm done playing football to move back to Austin and to attend all, just to be there, see me more than he has seen me. And as he gets, at first, when he was younger, it wasn't such a big deal, but the older he gets, the more I see that it's starting to affect him, whether it's sports and stuff, learning how to catch the football, learning how to throw a football, things like that I learned when I was his age and younger because my father and my mother, they was together, and I was raised in a 2-parent household. So, those are things I know I can't get back, but I hopefully, and I can't guarantee it, but, those are some things that I can, kind of, when I'm done playing football, catch up, and try to build memories that when he's my age, he can remember things that, him and his father did.
Man, I really appreciate you coming on tonight, just telling your story, talking about your experience in the American bully world, and just shedding the light about yourself to the whole bully community. And I really appreciate you coming on.
Man, I appreciate you having me, man.
Oh, no problem, man. Take care and good luck with the season.
All right, appreciate you. Have a good night.
You too. Take care. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Michael Griffin, all-pro safety for the Tennessee Titans. We got a chance to learn more about him tonight, life in the NFL, his thoughts on the bully community and registries, and I just really appreciate him coming on tonight. Like I said, we try to bring you the exclusive interviews here on Bully Talk with Zaya Pitts, and we're just striving to keep pushing excellence, and I really appreciate each and every listener tuning in tonight. Thank you all again for tuning in. God bless.